This is why it is so important to have good advice going in.
What's up, everyone? Kevin Amos, Pine Financial Group, where we work together so you succeed. Hey, you found us here on Facebook. You found us here on YouTube. Hey, we're trying to help more real estate investors just like you. You can help me with that. Please like, please subscribe, and leave us some comments below. I'm dying to hear what you have to say about today's topic, which is a hot topic. This comes up in almost every single hard money lending class that we put on. So I thought, gosh darn, I'm finishing up my book, Fund Your Flip. I've been working really hard on it, and I'm finishing it up today. So it's going to be going live here very soon. I can't wait for you to read it. And as I'm finishing up the book, I was talking about charging orders in the book, but it's a bit more complex than I was really willing to write into the book. So I thought, hey, Jared, I literally just sent him a text, 5 minutes ago, Jared, and said, hey, jump on here with me so we could tell our viewers and our readers of Fund Your Flip what a charging order is. So Jared, quickly tell us who you are, what you do for Pine, and then let's get into the subject.
Awesome. Thanks, Kev. I really appreciate you having me here. I'm the COO and General Counsel for Pine. I'd like to tell you that that's all I do at Pine, but we're a small shop, so we do everything, right? So we are hands-on. I'm looking at the loans, I'm underwriting, I'm helping with the sales team, running the operation, running the legal side. We're just having fun over here. So I just got a text from you a few minutes ago. I love it when I get these texts from Kevin, because it's like, hey, let's jump on and talk about something, no preparation. And really, that's kind of where you and I are at our best, because we have these conversations all the time. And I love it when we get to give some people insight into the way that we interact and communicate.
Yeah, me too.
We just live this stuff, man. So this is what we do.
It's funny how you describe that, because that literally did just happen. And then we get on and before we hit record, you're like, well, what the hell are we talking about?
What are we talking about?
You wanted some details. I'm like, let's just hit record and let's see where this conversation goes. So
yeah, like most attorneys, I don't like coming in cold. I like to know what we're talking about. But this is stuff that we're always kicking around. So happy to be here.
All right. I make the suggestion that it's a poor business decision to take legal advice from your CPA. And you shouldn't necessarily set up a legal entity for asset protection reasons based on what's best for your taxes. And more specifically, I was talking about the single member LLC, which we're lucky enough to have here in Colorado. Absolutely great when it comes to tax preparation, because it just sets aside for taxes. But it's not always the best structure for protecting your assets. So I recommend that people consider at least 2 members in their LLC. And I say that because of what we call charging orders. So can you tell me a little bit about what the charging order is and why I would make this suggestion?
Oh, totally. And this brings me way back, because in a former life, I used to enforce judgments and chase people around for money for clients. And we would run into this all the time where, if I got a judgment against Kevin, and Kevin worked at XYZ, company just as an employee, I can serve a writ of garnishment. Right? I can serve HR, I can go to court, I can say, Kevin owes me money, owes my client money. Instead of paying him, you got to send that to me. That's a garnishment. If you're a business owner and you own an LLC, the charging order is what is this type of mechanism, but way different in that it's not an obligation of the company to automatically send if you're the only one in the driver's seat, right? That means you have to, as the business owner, take that in, comply with the charging order. And that becomes very difficult. And it's difficult on both sides, but the real thing is, in an LLC, there is no mechanism to retain earnings. The company, unlike a corporate entity, can't keep cash on hand that's profit, that is earnings. It's got to be taxed. It's a pass-through. It happens every time. They're going to make sure to push it through to your personal tax return. So when you're a single member, everything that the company earns goes to you. A charging order is effective against 100% of it. There is no way to retain that. There's no other members in it. You can't commingle those funds. It comes out. And so,
okay, so let me just make sure I understand this right, Jared. I'm sorry to cut you off there.
No, cut me off.
I just want to keep the video short. I want to make sure that I totally understand. So if I'm driving down the road and I fall asleep and end up hitting somebody and hurting them, and they sue me, I could be personally liable in that situation, which means that they could get a judgment against me. And what you're saying is one of the ways that a creditor or a judgment holder can collect on that judgment is like a garnishment of wages. But if I don't have wages and I have an LLC that has rental property or fix and flips, let's say, they could literally garnish that income and force a distribution out of the LLC so they can get their hands on that cash. Am I understanding this correctly?
Yeah, totally. And I love that example you gave, because, in what I was just saying, it's more of a business transaction. But you're right. This could be anything. This could be a personal injury. This could be someone that's suing you on a different business. All sorts of ways that you can get a judgment against you. And that's exactly right. With a charging order in a single member LLC, and they file that, they get it perfected by the court, they file it against your LLC, those monies have to come out. It's a pass-through entity. Can't retain them. They're going to get intercepted.
Forced. It's forced out of the LLC so that you could pay
right.
the judgment. So there's a few states, Wyoming and Delaware came to mind. I don't know if you know any others, but they have state laws that will not allow a creditor to go after or to force a distribution. But for the most part, single member LLCs do that. So how does a 2-member LLC help us? And can that other member be, I don't know, a wife or a husband or brother or sister? Can it be somebody friendly?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. And the way that it helps is that in a situation with an LLC, you can have an operating agreement that controls the way the distributions are made. And the manager can change the way the distributions are made. You got more than one member, it's not all your money. It could be the other member's money. And it could very well go to your spouse. Now, we get into some complexities about community property and spousal relationships, and everybody wants to make sure to check in with their local attorneys, look at their local jurisdiction, because there is some nuance here. But in general, if the money isn't yours, it isn't subject to the charging order. So having more members makes it less likely that that money is yours and more likely that the company can distribute it to another member. Can't do it if you're the only one sitting at the table.
That's right. So, we all use LLCs for that slip and fall case. And if there's a slip and fall in front of your property that's owned by the LLC, you can encapsulate that lawsuit in that LLC, assuming everything is done correctly. What we're talking about here, just to be very clear, is a lawsuit that comes outside of the LLC, that comes to you personally, and then they can penetrate into the LLC. So it's the opposite type of lawsuit, I guess. It's just coming from the outside. And a 2-member LLC could really help protect you from that. Is there anything else you want to share with us on charging orders or multi-member versus single-member LLCs?
No, the only thing I will say, though, is I'll make this plug. I said it all the time when I was in private practice. It sounded self-serving then, so I'll say it now that I'm not in private practice. I'm not looking for clients. But this is why it is so important to have good advice going in. Set up your LLC correctly. Think through all these things. Don't just do it because your CPA said, or your cousin at a party told you the LLCs are cool, or you like the name. Do it for a reason. Make it work for you. Make it really tight. Think about things on the front end. You'll save yourself a ton of problems on the backside.
Fantastic advice. So leave us some comments below. If you're watching the video because of Fund Your Flip, the book, thank you so much for purchasing it. Or if we gave it to you, thank you so much for reading it. If you haven't seen that book, it's a book about how to fund your fix and flip, lots of different creative ways to maximize profits. You can find it at fundyourflip.com. Otherwise, you want to work with Jared, you want to work with me, you want to work with anybody in the Pine Financial team, please check us out at pinefinancialgroup.com.